Wizardry 8 was a freaking amazing game. It took years and years and years it came out. I remember waiting for it because I was in love with Wizardry 7. And it took a long time to come out. I think I found it at Best Buy. I want to say I found it at Best Buy. And I found like a strategy guide there. That's the only physical copy I ever saw that game the entire time. Of course, grabbed it. I was out there looking for it and grabbed it. And played the shit out of it. But it was only too recently that I actually went through and got through and beat the game. Used the strategy guide and the walkthroughs to actually do it, because honestly, the little cryptic puzzles and stuff and the key items you need, just a little bit for, if I'd have used my brain, I might have figured it out. But I just kind of get stuck in doing combat and just lost into the combat, the arts of the combat, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I couldn't figure out all the key puzzles and stuff I needed to do. So if you're able to run through this game, just go ahead and pull your damn guide out. Just what you need to do, the key items you need to do to get through and beat the game. Now, it's a completely 3D game, unlike Wizardry 7, and you have a party formation, and it's a 3D formation. So you got to think about stuff like, where is your party facing versus where the enemies are. And it's not just where your actual screen is facing. That's different from where your party's facing. And that's a little bit confusing, but it's also pretty damn important. It's like, you can't just turn around your screen. Moving your party around and make sure they're in the right position to fight the enemies is of vital importance. Because if you can be flanked, some assholes are just going to go around behind and then stab your wizard in the butt. And that's pretty much, a reset. So you have to use a lot of smarts. And there will be a lot of situations where I kind of back myself into a corner. And then we're just like, you know what? We're not leaving this corner. How many fucking enemies are going to come down and whoop my ass in this corner? Then, so be it. I'm not leaving this corner. I'm safer in this corner than I am trying to flee from the enemies. And there'll be just a situation where they're just stacks of shit asses coming legions, and you could see their ass. And because I was playing 1080p, I could see them freaking a bazillion miles away coming in, a bagillion guys, and had to slowly kill all their assholes. It's freaking rough. And there'll be times where they have some pretty damn long range bullshit, and you gotta out bullshit them, man. You gotta out sneak their vision, and then nail them with the fireballs before they nail you with the fireballs. Lots of play like that in the 3D space that was not a part of the old Wizardries. But before, in the other ones, you just had front and back row, essentially. So you just had, your back row wanted staffs or slings or bows or something like that. But there's a lot of strategy here on how you formulate your party. And on top of your regular 6 characters, you can have 2 guests. And for a lot of the game, you try to get these guests, especially the guests that will stay with you for the majority of the game, to help you out, and just level up your guests with them and treat them as party members. And then so you have 8 people to make your formations with. And what I've found is that each time you do something, you have a chance of leveling up. So if you attack with a sword, you'll level up your ability to hit with a sword. And I've always wanted to play the sort of like mastery type classes in Wizardries, because there's like classes that are like advanced, like a samurai is more advanced than the fighter. He's kind of like a fighter, but he can cast magic as well. And so I went out of my way, especially at the beginning, to have a whole bunch of these guys in my party, and I tried to make sure that they were good at what they did. Because if you just had your samurai, and if he just attacks 90% of the time, he's just the fighter except not as good. And so you need to actually go through and make sure that you're using his spells. And so he levels up his spells. And so when you run to big enemies, you don't freak out and fail your spells. And so you can cast your buffs, even if he's just being a buff master. You can have him cast buffs on everybody and then help out. Playing like that, playing really serious like that, allowed me to have like basically a super team about halfway through the game. We were badasses, man. And that helped me to go through some very unfortunate difficulty spikes. I don't know how it is if you transition your character from Wizardry 7 using the various endings that you could get. I think there was several endings. And then brought it over to Wizardry 8, you might start in a different location. But from the default start, if you didn't do that, which was what 99% of people are going to do, you do the monastery, and then you leave the monastery. There's a huge walk you got to do to get to the main town, and in this walk, especially if you were walking around a good bit in the monastery, you might have leveled up the monsters, and the areas will level up to a certain point on those monsters. And as soon as you walk out that fucking monastery to leave, it's like a murder fest of shit asshole crabs. And the transition to get from that monastery to the main hub town is so difficult. It's far more difficult than anything else in the game because of the level you are versus the level they are, and you got to use your stealthiest mixed stealth approach to get in there. I was very aware of that going through, and so we're used to fighting that. We're used to fucking fighting several fights in a row, resting in corners and then having to fight like 20,000 guys. You want to speed up the movement of the enemy so that they move at a speed is good, because they go one at a time, and they might take fucking down 3 or 4 minutes to move all their turns if you got them walking normal. So put them shits up fast as you can. I think there's mods out there that will speed them up even more than that. It looks freakish when the guy just super sprints up in your face, and he's like huge. It's like, holy shit. But it's better than him walking slowly up in your face and taking 30 minutes. Tons and tons of cheap fights, especially because you can use your positions like that, so you can try to move. You have a boss fight, you're supposed to fight some assholes. Well, what if I just move down the hall into this corner, right, and then fight them there? Lots of little techniques like that. And this game is heavily combat, and I love the combat in this game. It feels real good. Your characters suck ass at first. They whiff all the time, and they can't hit shit. But as they get better, they go more turns per round, and they'll attack more times per turn. I might get my lingo all messed up, but it's one of those things. Once you get your shit working correctly, you become like a just down blitzkrieg of slaughterfest, and then they run up to you only to get annihilated before they get to even do anything. Freaking great! I love this game. Freaking great. The graphics are pretty simple. We're still relatively new. It was like early 2000s as far as so you got the enemies are kind of blocky looking, but I still think, you throw that shit in a high resolution, I still think it has a kind of a clean look to it, and I like it. I like it a lot. Tons of personalities that you give your characters, because they'll have all of these like archetype voices, and you can give them what you want. And I had a fucking damn samurai who it was kind of like Tony the Tiger, or he had like a damn Boston accent. He's like fucking just a freaking wise guy. It's great shit, man. And it's just one of those things that it helps really boost the game like this. There's not much story for your characters because they're all custom made characters, but you've customized each one. They have set roles that you've got them to, and then to add on top of that, very awesome freaking art for their faces and stuff, and just amazing damn voiceovers gives them a shit ton of personality, and that really helps you carry through the game. You kind of make your own story about how your characters work and how they work together as you play through the game, and it's just a amazing game all the way around. It's got a hell of a lot of flaws, particularly in how enemies fight and in that positioning shit I was talking about. And you rest one time and you repopulate the entire area with like 20,000 guys, and that you're going to be fighting for an hour and a half in your same fucking spot to get out of it, because there's not a real effective way. You can run, it's not really that effective to run away from enemies, especially if they're everywhere anyway. And so you just have to take your damn time and grind through them motherfuckers until everybody's just on farm status. And you will find super awesome goodies as your super awesome weapons. Now, I think some of them might be randomized, not all of them. I know that the legendary Cane of Corpus is pretty damn easy to get in this game when it wasn't in Wizardry 7. So it's like, hey man, you might want to make your fairy ninja right from the start. I hope they didn't spoil that for anybody, but super great, super awesome. And I think we're a worthy success for the Wizardry 7. I think 7's better. But this game's really, really cool. Really, really cool.